o'clock meetings. It's the world of Zoom where everything starts on the hour exactly.
I feel like that was directed at me, Pete.
No.
Once I
I'll just say as we're getting, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, as we're about to get started here, for folks who are on here to know, if you haven't been to a webinar before, we've got the chat off, and we will be using the Q&A function later. So you will be able to ask questions and we'll talk about that. But just so you know, the chat is off and we're just having these folks speak because it's a huge group. So it won't be as interactive as a regular Zoom meeting, which, so you know, if you're wondering how this setup is different from a normal Zoom meeting. So we'll have a Q&A a little bit later on. So hang tight with questions and we'll get to as many of them as we can later.
All right, well, let's kick it off. We had the magical 3 minutes of wait time, so let's get started. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the best negotiations town hall of all time, officially. We are so thrilled to have almost 700 people here today. I know you're all munching away on your lunch while we feed your minds with some serious union power. So first thing is first. If you have a burning question for us, and I know each one of you does, just go to the Q&A button that's on the bottom of your screen and you can type in your questions. That will send them to Pete, who's going to look through them, and we will get to as many of them as we can. So before we get started, let me tell you about what a roller coaster of a ride we have had preparing for negotiations with Governor Walz and his team. You know that feeling when you have been studying all night for a test and you finally ace it when it comes around? It feels to me like our first bargaining session for the 2023-25 contract that was on April 11th and 12th. Felt like we not only aced that test, but we got a little bit of extra credit. The governor's team showed up with a genuine willingness to engage, which, let me tell you, it was a breath of fresh air compared to the last 2 rounds of bargaining. But we came in swinging nonetheless. We had 9 laser-focused proposals that, in my opinion, left MMB a little stunned. They brought their normal 105 proposals, but our lean and mean approach, I think, had them scrambling to keep up with us. By presenting fewer, more targeted proposals, we got MMB, and we are continuing to get MMB really focused on our priorities. Now, the outcome is still up in the air, but we know that our organizing, the work that we're doing to organize, and our member actions like today will tip the scales in our favor. So enough about me. It's time to pass the mic to our fearless negotiations co-chair, Kristen Kirchhoff-Franklin. She's going to spill the beans or spill the tea on how we got to this moment. So take it away, Kristen.
Thank you, Megan. Hi, guys. So how did we get here, right? So we've been the negotiations team has been working now almost a year. It'll be a year in June. We were all elected as team members in the spring of last year, and we started meeting last June. So since June, what have we been doing, right? We've worked really hard. All the negotiators in the regions have been reaching out to members, holding listening sessions, to get proposal ideas, to get at the heart of what our MAPE members really wanted in this next contract. So along with that, negotiators have been working tirelessly to build their contract action teams. I know some of the people on this call are on the CATs. Thank you so much for engaging and acting. We're trying to get all of our members engaged and ready to act as we go through this process here. We also did the survey last summer. It not only gave us information about our proposals, but it also helped us understand what our members are willing to fight for. So through talking to members and the survey, we overwhelmingly heard that members want across the board raises that catch up and keep up with inflation. We also heard that affordable healthcare, improved access to healthcare, and telework are our highest priorities. So we heard you. We developed that bargaining platform recently that met those priorities. We asked you to show your support, and we heard from thousands of you signed in support. So thank you for that. So over many months and many hard team discussions and decisions, we focused our priorities and presented those 9 proposals to the governor and MMB on opening day, which was April 11th. Healthcare negotiations are handled separately in a joint healthcare coalition, and all of the unions represented by CGIP are there. So that coalition currently has spent the last couple of months working through those proposals from all the unions. And we open with CGIP next week on May 2nd. So next up is negotiations co-chair Adam Novotny, who will talk to you about how our first bargaining sessions went. Go ahead, Adam.
Great, thanks, Kristen. Again, folks in the Q&A asked for updates on numbers. We are now approaching 830 since you all don't have the view. So not to mention those streaming on YouTube, the thousands and thousands there. So as was mentioned, we were kind of uniquely organized this bargaining round. And we think that has made a significant difference both in our team's approach and our engagement with the membership, but also with the management and states team. We did invite Governor Walz to attend, and that decision was hugely strategic. We wanted him to hear directly from the workers what our issues are, and to make sure that he is aware straight from the source of what our issues are. Sorry, it looks like my connection might be questionable, so I'm going to turn my face off. I think it's really important for us to talk about, to kind of bring folks into the room, since we made a decision not to really focus on turning out a huge group of people for the contract opener. And that decision was in part because we had asked Governor Walz to attend, knowing that if he had an audience of hundreds of members, that becomes an opportunity for him to stump speech on how he is pro-worker and pro-union and all of the niceties that politicians can pass along. And really what we wanted was not that same stump speech, but really a commitment on his end to listen to what we had to say, what the proposals we're bringing are, and to be familiar with them straight from our team. So that was kind of the focus with the direct action of bringing Governor Walz into that meeting. This is my third round of negotiations, and the feeling in the room has definitely been different. The direct kind of imbalance on the part of what we brought to what the state brought was noticeable. You could feel it in that room. Some of the other things you could feel in the room was that the air conditioning was broken on those 2 days, a couple weeks back when it was 85 plus. We stacked 40 some bodies in that room for 9-ish hours. I think lunch that day was maybe a little too onion forward. So the room was unique in that sense. But to let folks behind the curtain, the work that happens in that room is not really, it's not glamorous. It's not sexy. It is just grinding through language as a team to make sure that, one, we understand what they're trying to do. And if we don't, what questions can we reasonably ask of them to be able to kind of ascertain their intent. And then, the other important part is the direct table talk at that table is useful when we come to an agreement at a later time for arbitrations later, so that the intent of the language is clear based on notes that we capture from the table talk and the discussions there. That's kind of what the room looked like, is just a lot of note taking, a lot of parsing through language. And then, some of you, many of you certainly will have felt that we took an hour or so to reach out to folks on the rapid response team, texted about 9,600 members. I thought I had to double take there. 9,600 members, and hundreds of conversations with folks on that rapid response team in regards to what our across the board increases were and what folks thought it would take to win those. So again, we meet with MMB again tomorrow and then Friday. Yeah, that's right. And we met with, I've been doing a lot of bargaining lately, so forgive me. Pete, myself, Megan, Kristen, and our CGIP Coalition Healthcare team did meet with the coalition yesterday. Got a financial presentation from CGIP Director Galen Benschoof to kind of go over what the financial state of the insurance program looks like in advance of our opener with them next week. So I will shut it down for now. I'm going to bring it back to Kristen so she can walk us through the proposals before we get to questions.
Cool. Thanks, Adam. So before I recap the 9 proposals, I want to remind, or 8 of the 9, I want to remind you that we're happy to answer your questions. So go to the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen and type in your question. So the best way actually to see the text of our proposals is to go to our website. It's www.mape.org/proposals. This is your best resource for proposal language. And you're also going to see some awesome videos that some of our team members made that go into detail about the proposal. These videos reflect what we presented to the governor and MMB about each of those proposals. So go take a look. So our union proposal 1 is our telework proposal. This proposal creates a fair standard for granting and canceling telework arrangements. We shouldn't live in fear of our work arrangements being altered. It also creates a reasonable notice period for those cancellations. This proposal also addresses the office closures that have been happening. We have seen multiple office closures by agencies in response to the move to telework, and some of our members have been greatly affected by those closures, so it also addresses that. Union proposal number 2 is our definition of family proposal. This proposal updates the definition of family to make it more inclusive and more in line with what we consider family. It's time for our contract to reflect that. It's time for our contract to reflect who we believe our families are. It did come to our attention that some members were denied the use of sick leave or bereavement leave to attend funerals of family members who they were close to. And this proposal also resolves that. It reflects our definition of family. Our proposal number 3 is our temporary unclassified proposal. We have several proposals for temporary unclassified workers in state government, equity for basic benefits like arbitration rights, notice periods, and medical leave. They continue to be imperative for our members. We are unified in that belief that we deserve all these things, even in temporary roles. So what this proposal does, it brings the statutory standard for an unclassified appointment into the contract, so employees can easily see the parameters of their appointment. It also creates parity with classified workers. So we're asking for a 21 days notice for ending temporary unclassified appointments in all cases other than discharge for cause. And we are proposing to amend the contract to allow a 6-month medical leave of unpaid leave of absence when a temporary unclassified employee has exhausted their sick time. Again, we're creating parity with classified workers. Union proposal 4 and 5, they deal with the length of service credit and the vacation accrual. The length of service credit has been interpreted differently across agencies. So this language proposes to fix those issues. We want to credit our new employees with higher accrual rates based on their experience to reward knowledge, experience that they bring with them. It's also a way to recruit and retain the quality workers that Minnesota is known to have. Proposal 5 would increase the rate of accruals for all new hires. The current schedule, which is 4 hours per pay period for the first 5 years, is just not competitive anymore. And it doesn't encourage retention. So we're looking at fixing those by increasing the lower tiers by 1 hour and then shortening the length in those tiers. So adding another intermediary tier for the 6 to 8 year period. So just increasing it at the front end. Union proposal number 6 deals with our deferred compensation. We appreciate the state making the deferred comp plan easy to use and helping us prepare for retirement. It would align our union's plan with what the state of Minnesota does to support other union workers. It aligns with some other union contracts. So we're proposing that they increase their incentive to be $500 from the current $250. And we're also proposing to increase 120 hours of comp bank time allowed to be converted to deferred comp. MMA does have a match, and theirs is 400, so we're trying to align with that more closely. Our union proposal 7 is meal reimbursement. One issue that came up during our listening sessions and talking to members is that they care deeply about the importance of increasing the meal reimbursement rate to keep up with the pace of the rising cost of food and services. So food purchases for employees on the road often require them to pay out-of-pocket expenses and not being reimbursed for that. So this proposal matches our meal reimbursement rates to the federal guidelines, and it would adjust as we go along because it's always tied to that. So it wouldn't fall behind like it has. Union proposal 8 is our student loan reimbursement proposal. We'd like to see this benefit both expanded and put into the main body of our contract. Currently, it's a letter, and we want it to be in the main body. So it would allow agencies to plan ahead and budget to offer this benefit without the risk of it ending with a sunset date. We're glad that the state recognizes the magnitude of the student loan problem, and we're grateful that we're able to work together on a student loan reimbursement program. So now is the time to strengthen that program and make it part of our regular contract. So those are 8 of our proposals. Megan is now going to discuss the last one, which is the across the board wages. Take it away, Megan. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Kristen. I am happy to update everybody on union proposal 9. And you guessed it, like Kristen said, we're talking about the money. So for Minnesota to be the state that is the envy of the nation, we need a workforce that is valued, respected, and fairly compensated. And I think that starts with a solid MAPE contract that reflects our dedication to making Minnesota state services the gold standard across the country. Time and time again, each one of you have told us that you want wages that keep up with inflation and make the state of Minnesota the employer that people fight to work for, right? We've made sacrifices, especially during the pandemic, and now it is time to bridge the gap between us and our private sector counterparts for the first time in 10 years. With Minnesota's historic budget surplus and a commitment to fully funded state agencies from the legislature and the governor, we are proposing some seriously bold pay raises this time around. They're not raises, I want to clarify that. They are a cost of living adjustment. So we are going with 11% in the first year and 10% in the second year. And this isn't just necessary, it is absolutely crucial for keeping Minnesota competitive and attractive and the best public servants out there, which is all of you. I know we're not the only ones feeling the heat to attract and retain top talent in this workforce, but states nationwide are facing the same challenges. And it is time for us to join those making historic moves to secure the best employees and build a competitive workplace. So let's talk about some communications. We've been keeping you in the loop through social media, website stories, newsletter. We've done some video updates. Speaking of those video updates, we recently did 11 of them after our first meeting with the governor and MMB's team. So you can get all of the details if you missed out on any of the proposal details from this webinar today. Also, don't forget to sign up for our rapid response texting team to be among the first to know what's happening. That's where we first rolled out that we were doing this teletown hall a couple of weeks ago. What we need for that is your cell phone number. So you can give that to us when you sign the platform petition, which I hope you all have done. And if you didn't give us your number when you signed on to that, you can log into the MAPE portal at portal.mape.org. We will also continue doing town halls like this one and you can bring all of your burning questions there. You can also reach out to any one of us individually or your regional negotiations representative if you haven't already joined your local contract action team. And one final request, please sign the platform. We would like to get all of our members, all of our bargaining unit to sign on to this bargaining platform to show MMB and to show the governor that this is a contract that we can all get behind and that can get us caught up to our private sector counterparts. So you can do this right now. It's at the top of the MAPE website at mape.org. All right, so with just those few and focused proposals, we're not asking for the moon and the stars here. It's not impossible. It's just a fair and just contract that acknowledges each one of our unwavering commitment to the state of Minnesota. All right, so let's dive into some Q&A. I have seen some questions come in, so I'll hand it over to Adam to answer some of those questions.
I'm going to be doing the asking here, I think, from ones that I've written down. And so thank you for everyone who's been asking questions. I just want to give the disclaimer again that we already have far more questions from the 940 folks in behind here. Thank you. Then we're going to be able to answer today. So I just want to say, like, if you reach out to your negotiator, especially if you have a specific question about how something might apply to you. If we got it, there's a lot of questions like that. We just won't be able to handle all those today. And we've got some repeats, so I'm going to try to like categorize a few of them. We've already got a lot of them. So if you don't get answered, reach out to your negotiator or your business agent, and we will help kind of sort through things with you. So the first one that we wanted to ask is a bunch of people asked some version of like, this is awesome that we asked for these across the board increases that we deserve. Do we think we're going to get it? Like, how does it relate to the budget? And also like a couple of questions like, what would we settle for? And so I just wanted to open up to you all to talk about like how this wage thing plays out. So we've got our opener. Did they react? What did they say? Like, are we really going to get that? What can people expect? And what do we need from them? There's a bunch of questions about that.
I can stab at that one first. So the question of what are we willing to settle for, what deal are we going to cut, is a question ultimately of power, right? And in negotiations, the big tension is what do they actually have to give us, and what is our ability to compel them to do so? What is our power to make them give it to us? And so those are kind of the things that this team has been wrestling with. We've asked that question of ourselves many times, and ultimately, we don't know, and we can't know until we have an accurate read on the membership's engagement in the contract and what folks are willing to act on. There's we have several tools in our tool belt to activate folks and to show that power, to wield that power. And there are various increments. We would like to come to a great deal in advance of June after the budget's passed, but if that is not the case, our plan is to continue to escalate, and ultimately what we are willing to do and what deal we're willing to take is going to be a reflection of the collective voice and power and willingness to act of our membership. So the more folks you can continue to talk to about the plan and the campaign and what we're driving at, the more we're going to be able to climb and really hold our ground. That cuts both ways. The opposite is also true, right? Without a lot of support, it tells us that we don't necessarily have the collective power to be able to command a greater, tentative agreement ultimately. So if anyone wants to augment, feel free.
I think you said it well, Adam.
Cool. Thanks. So we had a slew of questions about the healthcare proposals and kind of what might be included and what might not. Does someone just want to say a little bit more about when the healthcare proposals that the team's asking for, will be available and why we're not talking about them today and that kind of thing?
Kristen, you want to take that one?
No, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so the proposals, we're still kind of as a group working through those with the coalition. that coalition is pretty widespread of the bargaining units, the public sector bargaining units that make up CGIP. There's the Engineers Council, there's the Teamsters, there's the troopers, there's AFSCME, there's MMA, there's MNA. So there's a pretty broad spectrum. So that, a lot of folks have a lot of different needs. And so there are a lot of proposals. Those other labor unions have not necessarily taken the same approach. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's just different. And so there's a lot of proposals to wade through because healthcare is really important to people and it's a lot to wade through. And with our current political and budgetary situation, there's a lot of expectations. So that's kind of where we're at. We will share those with folks when they become exchanged, but it is similar to our, what happens at our table, which is we are strategically keeping those close to the vest until we have passed them across the table to management so that, we kind of maintain the strategic advantage of not giving them all the answers ahead of the test. So that's kind of where things are at. That'll be public in a week or so, I believe. So certainly coming. Again, please don't read it as a lack of transparency. It's really an effort to just keep us in a spot where we are not sharing that ahead of them seeing it for the first time.
We meet with them for openers May 2nd and 3rd. So it's literally next week.
Thanks. So there was another set of questions about timing. And so there was a set of questions about why do we bargain in relationship to not here, we start before the budget gets set, but we don't get it done until the budget's done. And then also what are the steps in, potentially for when things go into effect, that kind of thing. Does anybody want to speak to that?
I can speak to the first part. I think, it is a little bit clumsy, the way the timing works out. I will say this, we have historically not passed our across the board request until after the budget has been completed. I will also share this. Megan, Kristen, myself, and a handful of others met with Governor Walz this summer and made our desire for a substantial wage increase very explicit. And he acknowledged in that meeting that he understands that and that, all the back patting and pizza parties aren't going to get it done. And, he assured us that was being considered on their end of things. So historically, we have not passed the wage adjustment at this stage, but we wanted to do so in advance of those budgets being finalized to avoid giving them any cover of we had no idea. We didn't know you were going to be asking for this much money, so that they, it is public. They know well ahead of time. Walz has known well ahead of time. And that was the reason we wanted to make that express request of them and have him in that room on our opener, so that there is no denying that while the budgets are still, up in the air a bit, they know what we're asking for and to build that in. So.
Pete, was the question about our process to get to this point a little bit too?
I didn't see that one so much as when does this kind of thing go into effect, and then more the question of why, how does it play with the budget? So I think we got this answered. Great, thanks. So there's also a question about coordinating with other unions and, are there wage proposals from AFSCME yet? Are we coordinating with AFSCME, other unions, how that stuff works? We want to talk about what we know about AFSCME's process in particular or other unions, and then also kind of how we run that versus them.
So I can jump in a little bit here. We run our own process. We run our own bargaining. We bargain for MAPE, and that's what we do. We are communicating with AFSCME, however, during this process. We don't know their specific proposals, but we kind of know, we kind of keep in touch with each other along the process to see where they're at, where we're at. So it's not, we don't know all the proposals. It's just, we do keep in connection.
Cool. And they don't have any, they have not published their proposals yet. And also they did not put any wage proposal out yet. So they don't have any, we're the only ones
Nope.
with a wage proposal for yeah.
That we know of.
Yeah, that we know of, right. So another question that people had is kind of twofold. One is, what did we think about management's proposals? Like, are there any, like some people ask, like, are there any ones that we really thought were awful, that we're not likely to agree to? Or are we still processing them, that kind of thing? And then also, what do we think they think about our proposals so far? Have we heard anything from them? Like what, where are things at with our reactions to each other's proposals?
So right now we're in the question stage. We've given them some questions that we've had for their proposals, and they've given us some questions on our proposals. I don't think we have a good sense on how they feel about our proposals at this point. I think we'll learn a lot more tomorrow and Friday. However, how we feel about their proposals, so they gave us 105. We've already given them some no's. There were, the steward rights ones are a no-go, obviously. There's a couple other no-goes, but we're trying to engage in a lot more conversation this round. So as we go along here, we'll be sharing those updates, but we're kind of just in the beginning questions phase at this point. Adam, did you want to say anything more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think our immediate reaction was, we're going to say no to anything that is limiting the rights of our union, right? Things like setting timelines on how long we can meet with folks, in regards to new employee orientations and steward rights, and anything that infringes on the ability for us to provide the safety, security, and predictability of this union to be that buffer for the workers. I mean, there are some that are like a little more insidious and weedsy that like I would encourage folks, if you're not a steward, to reach out to them and really dig into those. Some of them are just technical, like literally technical, moving dates around. We leave those proposals for them because it's just kind of an administrative nightmare to do so. So there are 20 that are technical changes to just an upgrade to the language or dates or what have you. So some of the proposals are that, but yeah, for the most part, it's a response to questions and us getting clarity on what they're trying to do and them asking for clarity on what exactly we're trying to achieve, and make sure everybody understands what's actually happening so that they know whether they can agree to it or not.
I'll just add to that in that question is the whole range of the dynamic between our negotiations team and the contract that we're, bargaining right now, and what MMB brought to the table. And we did the work ahead of time to narrow down our proposals to our priorities so that we could actually talk about these proposals this time around. And what management did, what MMB did, is just do their normal thing where they bring a whole bunch of stuff because they know that are not their priorities, but it's stuff that they can get rid of in the process of trying to get us to get rid of some things. And we're doing that different this time around because these are the 8 and the wage adjustment, but these are the proposals that we really want to talk about. And we want to dig in and help management understand why telework, why deferred comp, why student loans, why these things are important to us. And even if we don't get the language as it's written today that we brought to the table, we can get further in helping management understand why those things are important to us and why they're impactful for our members and why we need to have protections in the language in our contract, because management discretion is not enough. So that, I think that's a really important difference this time around. And so management kind of came back and said, well, what are the things that you don't want to talk about? So we gave them a whole list, and hopefully we can get down to the meat on the bones of the proposals and really talk about the things that are impactful to us.
Thanks. So we got a handful of questions from folks who, didn't see things that they were hoping to see on the list, and on that list. And I know you've talked a couple times about paring it down, but there was a couple ones about people topped out and a couple of other things. And so I just wanted to ask, someone to sort of address the gap between sort of like getting everything that we want versus the list that we have, and how, like, the process that we went through to actually have the discussion about we need fewer to be strategic. Like, how did negotiators handle that question?
Yeah. So our team had some long, difficult conversations about which proposals we thought we should bring. And we tried really hard to make sure that we viewed that through a lens of what is winnable, what are people willing to organize around, and what's language that we can actually enforce. And so kind of with all that in mind, I'll specifically talk to the proposal for the step at the top. That has been an evergreen proposal that we bring nearly every round. And we typically end up dropping it pretty early because while folks very much desire that, we thought that it does have a narrower scope than an aggressive across the board increase. And the folks at the top of their pay scale will benefit significantly from the large chunks that we're asking for. And so while it is not, it's not a new step at the top, our sense also was that that's kind of a one-time fix, and it doesn't necessarily get at the heart of the issue. And what does get at the heart of the issue is a meaningful adjustment to kick folks up and really expand those pay scales. And so that was the idea. It was not taken lightly. It was a long conversation that our team really did wrestle with. And ultimately that was something that we didn't feel was necessarily winnable. But it also took, it took a little bit of juice from the larger pot that would touch more members. And that was kind of the framework that we were looking for that through. We like all know that's something that people want. It's a hard proposal to win. It's probably a one-time fix, and the across the boards are meaningful and they do compound on each other, and they're forever. So that's kind of how we tackled those specific issues.
Yeah, these are not easy conversations that we're having, but we had on these. Reach out to your negotiator and talk more about it. But we bring all the proposals to the table from our members, and we have to have really hard discussions. We chose to do a strategy this round of bringing a more focused set, and it was a long process. And yeah, reach out to your negotiator if you want to learn more about that. But yeah, this team has done a lot of hard work with that, and we're doing a good job.
So relatedly, I had another set of questions about sort of like people, saying this is really, really good across the board, proposal and all that kind of thing. But what happens if they say, so it's like kind of related to like, what do we think we'll get? What happens if we say no? Particularly, are we going to take bigger actions? Do we need to be ready to be strike ready? When would that happen? Like, how does the team make that decision? So like anything you could say about how the team's staying in contact with the members, like what are we expecting in terms of action or stuff like later in the season here?
So it's kind of a matter of course for MMB. They don't typically discuss things they consider economic until a budget's passed, so they kind of know, what their pile of resources looks like. So as we continue to kind of move along this path towards the end of May, when we anticipate that to be done, a lot of the language and discussion we have will be around other language, not absolutely economic. So we will certainly share with our membership what opening proposal they bring for an across the board increase. And I think at that point, that's when, all along the way, we're hoping to, get folks rolling and plugged in and ready to act. There are a series of actions being held kind of across the state on a regional level right now. So reach out to your elected negotiator to kind of find what those are and how you can support those. And ultimately, the entire goal is to be strike ready, so that, depending on, we would all love to not have to be there, but that's the ultimate tool we have, right? And in order to do that, in a world where many of us are teleworking, we have to have a really strong infrastructure built and people ready to act. And we have to have that knowledge that people are there, people are coming along with us. And that's kind of why we're really working to create that constant contact feedback loop where we're telling you things, you're telling us things, so we can gauge the temperature of where folks are at, so that ultimately we know how strongly we can play our hand. So that's the goal, to be there, to be ready when the rubber meets the road. And we have to make those hard decisions of, is this a deal we can take, or are we willing to hold out for more? And if we do so, how do we elevate that and continue to escalate? And certainly we think those of you, in this room right now are here with us, and, we're trying to grow that as this kind of keeps progressing. So that's the goal.
I just want to add into that membership is critical in this. So talk to your coworkers, talk to the people who would have sat next to you 3 years ago and are now Teams call away, or however you get in contact with those people. But we're kind of rethinking what it means or how we can organize our people in widespread telework in state government. So reach out to those folks. And if they're a member, say, great, let's get you on the contract action team, or let's sign you up for the rapid response network so that we can do that back and forth communication with folks. We sit down with all of our negotiators in a room and we reach out to the people that are in their regions respectively and engage in conversation over text message. You can also reach out to your regional negotiator if you want to have more contact that's on your schedule. But membership is key here. We had a hiring freeze over the pandemic, and the state has kind of tried to rapidly hire people, and we're not getting to those new folks. And people are not choosing to leave the union. It's just these new employees they think that they're members of the union just by their employment. So we really need to reach out to those new folks, or the people that we haven't talked to in a while. And make sure that they're members and make sure that they're aware, because MMB is watching those numbers just like we are. And it's not a money thing, it's a power thing. And we need to have all of the folks that we cover 16,000 people. And if we could have each one of those 16 people with us, we would have a really strong contract. So reach out to folks and get them to join the union.
Great. There was a question here just about if somebody wants to join the rapid response team, they've already signed the petition. And so they're wondering, please just email either your negotiator, your business agent, if you've got an updated phone number. We're trying to update the lists every time we do it. It's a massive data sort of undertaking that we've done of updating our phone lists and using them. So if you didn't answer, like, our lists are going to be newer with new phone numbers on them again this week. If the next time we do texting. So if you want to do that, please, and you didn't get one and you think you should have or want to, send your phone number to either a business agent or your negotiator, and they can forward it on to us to make sure that those are in the loop. So we told people 12:45 to wrap this. So I want to give it back to other folks. If you guys have any other wrap up statements, I just wanted to say again, there's over 100 questions we didn't get to today that we knew that was going to be the case. But like, lots of good questions. We're just trying to pick out the ones that happened the most or were answerable in the general for everybody. If you have other questions and you want to dig into them, your negotiators are there to talk with you about it. And so are your business agents and staffers. We will try to track down answers and chat with you about them. So please feel free to reach out. But if you didn't get it answered here, it was not that we were trying to avoid questions, but there's hundreds. So thank you for being so chatty, but just so you know, please feel free to bring your question to your negotiator. Anything, so taking it back to you all.
I'll address a couple that I saw in there, just questions on how to join. If you go to the MAPE website, there's a tab on the top that says join MAPE. It's essentially a Google sheet. It'll take you 3 minutes to fill out. and that's how you affirm that you want to be a member of this union. So certainly do that. The other bit is attached on the front ribbon of the MAPE website. The kind of third picture to the right is the bargaining platform. If you want to get on the rapid response team, just re-sign up on that platform and add your phone number there, and we'll make sure that those get added. If you want to do that and be a part of that rapid response, folks.
All right, well, I'll wrap us up then. So thank you all for joining us. I heard we had about 1,100 people in total. So thanks for spending your lunch hour with us. That is absolutely amazing. And it shows us that you are interested in this contract and you're ready to do what it takes to get the contract that we deserve so that we can catch up a little bit. So don't forget to keep an eye on our social media feeds for the latest and greatest in our bargaining efforts. You can expect a full story on our website in a special edition of the newsletter next Monday. So we'll keep you updated that way. I want to thank Adam and Kristen as your fearless co-chairs of this negotiations team. It is not easy work and they are killing it. So thank you to the two of you. Thanks to all of our staff, Pete, Mike, Nick, Kelly, all the people that are doing the work for the negotiations team behind the scenes. You all are amazing. And I want to give a huge thank you to our lobbyists that are working at the Capitol to make sure that we have a labor-friendly budget, to make sure that we are updating the process of getting this contract approved so that it's reflective of what we want and what we need. So thank you to our lobbyists. And always remember that our collective strength is what drives the significant change within the contract. So we need you, yes, you, each one of you, to help us negotiate a smashing success of an agreement. So stay involved, stay informed, and most importantly, stay awesome. So attend meetings, share your stories, rally your colleagues, members or not, to join the good fight. And together we are absolutely unstoppable. So thanks for everything you do for Minnesota and for MAPE. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and don't forget to show your union pride. Bye, everyone.
Right on.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.